Good there? What are we doing there?
I'd like to bring the meeting of the Township of Hamilton Committee to order for Monday, May 18th, 2020. Please stand for the flag salute. John, would you like to lead us?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided pursuant to the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law by posting a notice of this meeting on the bulletin board in the municipal building and by publication in the Press of Atlantic City and the Atlantic County Record on January the 15th, 2020. Mr. Kane?
Here.
Mr. Gishard?
Present.
Mr. Kurtz?
Here.
Mr. Vitale?
Here.
Mayor Schenker?
Here. Can we have a moment of silence for private reflection? Please keep in mind those who have lost their lives to this horrible epidemic.
I would also ask that you keep in mind the wife of Bob Ravel who died this weekend.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Proclamation. We have a proclamation that I will read real quick. This is National Public Works Week, and the fact that our Public Works is doing a fantastic job, this is very timely. So it says, whereas the work professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities and services that are vital to the importance of sustainable and resilient communities, and to the public health, high quality of life, and the well-being of people of the Township of Hamilton. And whereas the infrastructure, facilities, and services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of the Public Works professionals, who are engineers, managers, employees at all levels of government and the private sector, who are responsible for rebuilding and improving and protecting our nation's transportation, water supply, water treatment, and solid waste systems, public buildings, and other structures and facilities essential to our citizens. And whereas it is in the public's interest for the citizens and the civic leaders and the children of the Township of Hamilton to gain knowledge of and to maintain progressive interest in understanding the importance of public works and public works programs in their respective communities. And whereas the year 2020 marks the 60th annual National Public Works Week, sponsored by the American Public Works Association, Canada Public Works Association. Now therefore, the Township Committee of the Township of Hamilton, County of Atlantic, State of New Jersey, on this day, May 18th, 2020, do hereby designate the week of May 17th to 23rd, 2020 as National Public Works Week. I urge all citizens to join with the representatives of the American Public Works Association, Canadian Public Works Association, and the government agencies in activities, events, and ceremonies designed to pay tribute to the public works professionals, engineers, managers, and employees, and recognize the substantial contributions that they make protecting our national health, safety, and quality of life. So, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Appreciate it. Additions, deletions, and late agenda items to be considered for action tonight. We have one. It's a business registration for TNT Fireworks. It's a transient vendor, which will be in Walmart's parking lot, 6/20/20 to 6/4/2020.
I'd like to table that one, Mr. Mayor, and get more information.
Okay, can we just vote no to the addition?
Yes.
So the motion just to,
Motion to vote no to the addition.
I'll second it.
the motion second, or any questions? Hearing no questions, all of them signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the ayes have it. Let's see. Early public comment on agenda items excluding items listed for public hearings. Lisa, do we have anybody?
There's several callers on the line.
Hello.
Yes. Go ahead.
Maybe just on my end, but the video is not working.
Can you hear
It might
us?
be me, but
Are you on YouTube?
yeah, I'm on the township's website. Yeah. Mhm.
Township
No, it's
website?
YouTube. No, it's on YouTube.
It's on-
Well, that's I clicked. Well, it doesn't matter. I can hear you, but
okay.
I went to that site and it directed me here. Not a big deal. Maybe it's just me.
Okay. I believe it's up on YouTube. I'm not 100% sure.
Confirm.
Yeah?
We'll confirm.
Okay, we're going to confirm that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else, public comment? Hearing none, I'll take a motion to end public comment.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
A motion is second. Are there any questions? Hearing no questions, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Item 3, discussions. Formal actions may be taken. A, resolution regarding necessary personnel actions to be taken during the impact of COVID-19.
I'm requesting that a resolution which you have been presented be approved for the layoff of one individual and and the furloughing of another employee as listed on the resolution. This is due to projected shortfalls from the COVID impact of revenues through the courts and going to be through the construction office. This is after we took actions of a hiring freeze, reduction in part-time employees, the reduction in operating expenses, and looking at the reduction of capital expenditures.
Okay.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
We have a motion, a second. Are there any questions? Do we need a roll call for this?
Yes.
All right, let's do a roll call vote. Rita?
Mr. Kane?
Yes.
Mr. Gishard? Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mr. Vitale?
Yes.
Mayor Schenker?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
Thank you. And we move to B, which is to do with the Cove Beach for 2020.
This is as you see on the screen, we have members of our staff who are there. Actually, the screen's not big enough for me to really see. I know that Mary Kelly's there. I see Sue Giverson. Is that Brett in the back? Okay. Well, Steve Filippone's there. He's waiting for something else. And the police chief is there.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Can you hear us? Somebody's gonna have to get to the mic.
Yeah, the mic's
Somebody's gonna have to be the moderator.
muted.
Somebody's.
Yes, we can hear you.
All right, Chief, can you sit there so we can hear what you're saying? And the reason we did this for the fact is I wanted to have our people present to have this stuff discussed for the Cove for this year. First of all, let me say that no decision has to be made on this evening. This is for discussion purposes only, and any action or any motions made can be done at the next meeting. What we wanted to do was present the fact that due to the COVID situation, and again with the governor's executive orders, there's going to be some greater expense this year in running the Cove. And I think one of the things that we have to look at is, first of all, we have to kind of upgrade the bathrooms, and we're going to have to put somebody full-time on the restrooms to monitor the restrooms, and they're going to have to be cleaned on an hourly basis, which is a additional cost for the Public Works Department. There's going to have to be, we have the regular cost of beach, sand and the clamshells. The other thing we're going to have to do is limit the number of people on the beach and by doing some calculations of the size of the beach. And you can see here, and I'll put this up for the public. This is the Cove. And with the square footage that has been determined, we're looking at limiting the number of people out on the beach at one time of about 250 people. But one of the things we're going to incur is a cost. If we're going to put this refer back now.
He's not talking into the microphone, so.
I'll get back to the mic. About 250 people is the number that we've looked at. We have an additional cost of about $10,000 because we're going to have to put at least a Class 1 officer up on the beach to monitor the social distancing and the controls of people in and out with the parking lot, because we're going to have to limit the size of the parking lot as of right now to a 50% capacity. We're looking at the standard lifeguard costs, the checkers, and as I said before, the restroom attendant is about a $12,000 cost for this year, for the summer. And then the rest of it is buying beach tags, miscellaneous safety equipment, so forth. And then there's the regular costs of the Public Works Department of the cleaning of the beaches on a regular basis, and holiday hours, overtime, and call-in hours for emergency repairs. We've also, just to let you know, we've put cameras up on the cove to increase security and our response. That was done in the last 5 days. So we do have it up and being monitored by police dispatch 24/7, which is a plus security measure down there. The other thing that we're looking at is there is going to be a cost of some type of, in the past, we would have somebody sitting at a picnic table selling seasonal passes or daily passes. And we've got to look at some kind of social distancing for our employee for selling the tags. And we're looking at a cost. We've got a cost here about $12,000. We think we can reduce that cost probably by the rental of a trailer, a construction trailer or something for a couple months to do that. So we are looking at a reduced cost. We got a ballpark figure of $99,000. Historically, the revenues have been about $31,000, and we could drop to $99,000. Probably, we're tightening up. We'll probably get that down to around $90,000 if we really tighten things up. Working group, you want to jump in here?
Good. Don't touch me. All right, so anyway, I think the administrator touched on all the topics that we really need to discuss. Under the governor's directive, there's a lot of things that we have to do to accommodate people coming down to the cove and to protect them and to protect our employees. So some of the main things are the bathrooms are going to have to be altered, like the administrator said. And I think the main thing comes down to, we're going to have to make sure that the people that are visiting the cove are practicing social distancing, and they're also, adhering to the capacity requirements of the cove and the parking area as well. So like the administrator said, one of the key factors will be security. I had recommended in the paperwork that you got over the weekend in reference to the Class 2s and the security, and supplemented by our Class 2s that we have at the police department that aren't working in court certain days of the week. We're aware that it's a big expense going forward, but in order to cover everything that the governor has asked us, we really have no choice when it comes to what the administrator has presented to you guys tonight.
With us basically operating at half capacity, is there any way to save any more money with staffing and maintain public safety?
Absolutely not. When you speak of if we have people swimming and things of that nature, there's no way to change the amount of lifeguards that we'll have. I believe right now it's 3.
and it's got to remain 3, whether we have 250 people there or 500 people there, because it's the requirement of lifeguards is beach frontage or water frontage.
Every 300 feet, you have to have one.
So every 300 feet, you have to have 1 lifeguard. So our beach, I want to say the width of it or length of it is 450 feet. So at the very minimum, you would need 2. And then you need a third one to for breaks and things of that nature. So there really are no cuts that we can make to the employees that are going to be working down at the beach.
We can't just cut the swimming area in half?
We had discussed that, and that creates a problem once again, because if we cut the area, we still have the issues that people might start wandering out and things of that nature.
I'm sorry, go ahead, sir.
What was the criteria that resulted in the 250 people?
It was a calculation of the size of the area. We took, actually took the circumference of a circle, 6 foot on each side of an individual, and looked at the area. And then we also looked at building in safety lanes for vehicles going into the beach. We need the safety vehicles. And usually, in the numbers that we have here, and Lisa is much more versed in this than I, but 4th of July, it's packed, and you're talking estimates between 400 and 450 people, is that correct?
Yes, the 4th of July.
So that's basically full capacity is about 450 people. So we're talking 250 with building in, safety factors there. And that's the number that was determined.
I might add, with the 250 capacity that we're requesting or we're asking to go down to, that really doesn't take into account when they're laying down on their beach towels or in their chairs or what have you. So it could even be less than the 250 capacity when it comes to square footage and social distancing. So that's like our complete max is 250.
So, Chief, I know that some of the towns along the shore have opened their beaches, but they're restricted. I don't believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't believe any of them have lifeguards on their beaches yet. Would you agree with that, or you don't know?
I would agree with that to this point. I believe their official opening of the beaches is this upcoming week.
Okay.
On Memorial.
Okay. So, to take this a little bit further, if we move forward with this, with all the things that we have to do with COVID being a problem, at least temporarily, we don't know how long these standards are going to stay in place. We would be looking at a lot of money here to do this, to operate and run the Cove the normal hours that we've always run it.
We're looking at estimates of, with a 50% capacity, we're talking about an annualized revenue of about just under about $23,000.
Correct.
So let's say we were able to reduce costs and get some of these costs down to say $90,000. So we still have, that delta that we've got to look at, the taxpayer has to absorb. So, you're going to have cost in some way, no matter what, for the fact that if you close the swimming part of it, you still have social distancing issues and public safety issues. You're going to have people going to the beach. So, it's no matter what you do there, unless you close the whole thing down, which I don't think the committee wants to do. But I want, you guys to be familiar with what we're looking at this year, with the extra needs this year, with especially the restroom costs and the annualized costs. The other thing that we run into is the way that beach tags are sold. You have the seasonal tags, and then you have the daily tags. and you run into an issue, and I know they're talking about this at the beach towns, is the fact that if you sell seasonal tags and you are at capacity on a daily basis and somebody with a season pass shows up and can't get on the beach, then they have they're being shortchanged of the price of the seasonal tag. So I think, one of the things we may have to consider if you do want to open is going completely to daily tags and doing it that way. But then you're talking at the present price point we're at, I think $9 a day, somebody brings a couple kids and themselves to the beach, that's quite a hit for a single, for a parent, and $27 to get on the beach. So, we may have to adjust some of those price points if that's decided to go that way.
So basically, there's no way you're going to make up $67,000 shortfall to open the cove. So obviously, this decision goes back on whether the taxpayers are going to pay for this.
Right, and that's, realistically, that's the hard decision. Do we want to provide these services at the additional cost? We've got a couple weeks for to digest this information with the budget numbers that were given to you this evening and have been passed out, and you can take a look at it and discuss it. You get some input from the public, and then we can rediscuss this and then make a decision on June 1. But June 1 is kind of the drop dead date for us to really move into mobilize for the summer.
How much of the cost is associated with COVID?
So let's, just so everyone's clear, on a normal year, we're flush, right? The tags pay for pretty much everything that we're talking about here.
We lose about $20,000
Do we?
annually.
Okay, so we're already,
Yeah.
so it's a net loss of about 27,000.
So you're talking the additional of the upgrades of the bathroom costs, but you're talking
27,000.
10, 14, about 15,000 right there. Another 10 for the officers, so you're talking 25. Probably right in the area of another 40,000 because of COVID related.
So that's an expense we wouldn't have next year, hopefully.
Next year, correct.
Yeah, this is,
And these
Well,
numbers that
isn't a continuing expense in the budget.
this is based on us trying to open it on June 1st.
No, we would open June 20th is when
June
we would.
20th.
Yeah, we would look to open June
So that's
20th.
that. Okay, so that's
It would be the date of the opening. That's the normal date, correct?
and is that taking in consideration rain days, and do those expenses go away on rain days?
There's still some cleanup costs and monitoring costs that we would have. But what do you do with the lifeguards on rainy days?
It's rare that the beach actually closes. If it's where we have rain on and off during the day, the guards are still there, the badge checkers are there, because in case the sun comes out and people show up,
Right.
you've got to have it. There's only a handful of days that the weather is really bad enough that it would just shut
You
down.
would shut it down.
So you still have that cost, and on those days, maybe you only take in, you sell 3 badges.
Right. Who makes the decision to shut it down, Lisa?
It is, well, Ingrid Perez in the past has been the manager,
Right.
and it would have been her decision.
Which would fall back on myself and Lisa out of my office, and obviously the working group. I'd work with them for input on how we would do it.
And the fee for a beach tag last year was how much?
9 daily, 15 annual.
Yes.
Well, I think we've made the decision, through discussion, that we're not going to offer seasonal because
No,
you're going to have an issue there. I think your explanation was spot on. If you do that, how are you going to turn somebody away? So I don't think that the possibility of offering seasonal is an option.
Okay, then we'd have to come up with a number for a price point for daily passes to make it reasonable for, let's make it reasonable
Yeah, we
for,
would have to lower the dailies to make it.
Yeah.
To compensate. Yeah, I'm with you.
It's just, it's a staple in our town, and these are unprecedented times, but that is a big difference to absorb.
The group in A, you guys have any additional input here?
Yeah, so after discussing with Mary Kelly and Sue Giberson, if we want to open up the cove, time is of the essence. So if we voted on opening the cove on June 1st at the next meeting, we wouldn't be able to hire the cove, the lifeguards and the other employees until the following meeting. So we technically probably couldn't open up
The 18th.
on the 20th.
The 18th is the next meeting.
Yes, but we would have to throw them out there. I mean, if we knew that we were going to open up, that we could try kind of jump the gun, even though we didn't vote on the people being hired. But it would be, it kind of be overlapping, if you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I mean, they need to be trained. There's training and other things associated with it. So the code may not open on June 20th.
Bob, do we have the ability to appoint retroactively if we started people on the 10th and put them on the agenda for the 18th? Can we make that appointment retroactive to like the 10th?
I'm not sure you could, but I think what you could do administratively, you could be authorized.
I think you guys.
Okay.
And that hiring would be conditioned upon certain conditions, such as training, such as available funds. So you could begin the process of interviewing, you could make the selection, and the committee could authorize you to tell them, you're going to be hired if this, and this happens. And that would expedite it so that it would be done and it could be confirmed on the 18th.
What about, can any of this, and I know it's left pocket, right pocket, but can any of this expense for the cleaning and those things, how about clean community money? Can we use any of that for this? Maybe any of the money, do we have money sitting in the recreation trust fund still? Is there any of that money that might be able to be used to help offset some of this?
Let me pull recreation trust and see what's.
I think
do we
there
have
is
a
a few
balance in
dollars
recreation
in the
trust?
recreation trust fund. I
How
think
much?
so, yeah. I think there was. Last time I heard it was like
All right.
70,000, I thought. Unless we use it we might have taken some out for lighting or something for the field, but that's what it was the last time.
All right, I'll have that number. I'll have it out to you for the next meeting, so we can that part of your decision making process.
I'd love to see it open. It's again,
Oh, yeah, it
it's
has to
part of
happen.
what makes Hamilton Township, and so if maybe
What
we can
does,
find a few dollars here or there.
What's Egg Harbor City Lake? Do they charge for,
Oh, yeah.
what do
They
they
have to
charge?
buy beach tags.
Right now, they're in the same boat,
Agreed. So one.
waiting for to see what the beaches do, the shore beaches. As you can see, they're moving forward. So, we can't, we're at the point where we can't wait to see when they start, because they're planning, and then we start to plan. We have to plan now, and I understand what the chief is trying to say.
Don't we have staff that was last year that have shown interest to come back to the Cove as guards? Or they
Yes.
would yeah. So we only would require any additional training because of the
No.
COVID-19?
Yeah, we're running a parallel process here to make sure that we've got people lined up. If the decision's made to open, so that process is already going forward. And we've got, I think we have, Mary, how many we have right now? 4?
We have, can you hear me?
Yeah, you can yell.
We hear you.
We have 3 lifeguards, 2 more interested, and we have someone interested in day manager and 1 beach badge checker. And then we also have the special extra.
Yeah. So, we've lined up enough where we can make it work.
Yeah, we have the staff, but there's processes that have to be completed before they would start working. They need to have physicals, they need to get working papers completed and submitted. training as far as employment training, right, COVID training. They also need to have EEOC training, that type of thing that we go through. So it's probably a couple hour session that we do with the employees. Paperwork's got to be completed.
Here's what we can do on the first.
I'm sorry?
If you decide to open on the first, we can have a resolution ready to go.
Vote on the first.
Right, you vote on to say, if you make a motion to do, you want to open on the first, we can have a resolution with the people that we want to hire ready to go on the first too.
Yeah.
And we could just do that. If you decide not to, then we just pull the resolution.
I'm good with that. And that'll give you a chance to check into the Clean Community Money and the Recreation
Yes,
Trust Fund for
exactly.
us. And with all due respect, I mean, you are giving us a worst case scenario here. And
Right.
some of this may be lifted, prior to the season being over, where we could end up generating more revenue.
If I might just say something, if the governor changes his directives, the chance of him lifting the social distancing and the capacity changes and things of that nature probably aren't going to happen this summer.
I got you.
So I believe that the numbers that the administrator is giving you tonight are very accurate when it comes to staffing and things of that nature, because we're going to need the staffing to monitor the cove and to have the cove open, as business as usual type things, the lifeguards and things of that nature. So the cleaning of the bathrooms, that's not going to change. That's actually spelled out in the directives, to the point that they're even saying that if you have outdoor showers, you have to change the knobs to like foot controls and things of that nature. So they're very specific in what you have to do into making it COVID-19 compliant, I guess you would say. So there might be actually a few additional expenses looking at the directives that have come out in the last day or so.
And Egg Harbor City is opening next weekend,
Yeah,
by the way.
Seasonal.
All right, so I have a question and then I have a comment. So for your purposes, us deciding on this tonight is probably the best case scenario for what you have to do. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So us coming back June 1st is going to put you guys in a little bit of a hurry-up situation, or a lot of a hurry-up situation. And now, do you feel as if we come back at June 1st and do this, that you'll be able to get the people in? Last thing I want to see is that we say we're going to do this, I don't want to go past the normal opening date. So if that's going to affect you, I want to know if June 1st is going to make that difficult to happen, or it may not happen.
June 1st would make it difficult to happen. However, with what the administrator just said, I mean, I guess if we write the resolutions up and we're going to submit them the same night, it might hurry up the process a little bit. But it is a pretty hefty task to reach.
Okay.
So we would have to decide if we were going to do any kind of reduction in fee as part of that tonight.
Well,
For them to get ready
not
or no?
necessarily. I don't agree with that.
No, we can do an ordinance on the first if we're going to do the reduction. We need to do it by ordinance, right? If we're going to change a fee?
Depends on how we set it up.
Yeah,
All right.
I seem to think, I'd have to check. I seem to think we might have put a clause in there, it could be changed by resolution. I'm not sure. If it
How much
does,
is a
it's easier.
seasonal?
15.
And a daily is
14.
a daily is 9? Well, why don't you just sell seasonals?
That's what Egg Harbor
Yeah, that's what we're
City's
going to do.
And that's it. No dailies, just all seasonals.
At $9 a piece?
Whoever gets there first gets there first. It's a very difficult situation. The one comment that I wanted to make is this, and I want everybody to understand, not just in this room, but the people that are listening out there. The difficult part about this is that you're now asking the taxpayers to pay for something that a certain group of people enjoy. And like Charlie said, this is a staple in our community. It's been there forever. We don't want to not have it. But again, that's the decision that we're making here. We're looking at about a $50,000 number that we've got to come up with, and it's got to come out of our budget. So I've given this a lot of thought, and this is where I struggle with this. And I've gone over this a lot with Arch. And I do believe that the team that we have here will do everything they can to keep the expenses down. But the bottom line is do you want to open the Cove or don't you? The simple fact is, and what really keeps coming back to me and what bothers me the most is that this is the one thing that we have in this town that's the sense of normalcy that we have the ability to say yes or no to this. Because right now, nothing's normal. Nothing's going to be normal for a while. And this is one thing that people have that is a little bit of normal. And we're getting asked to do, I mean, we all watch the news. We're on Facebook and stuff, and you see these businesses that are trying to open and they're getting citations for it. And it's going to get worse and worse. The craziness is going to continue. So as much as I struggle with the amount of money that we would have to spend, I'm leaning towards let's open the Cove and be done with it and leave this to be that one part of what we're doing here. I mean, there's two gentlemen sitting to both my sides here that have businesses that are struggling right now because of what's going on. And it's, they're suffering like a lot of people are suffering. So I feel as though this little bit of normalcy, we'll find the money, Arch. We'll have another budget meeting and we'll find the money for it.
If that's what you wish.
I as much as it goes against what I normally would say up here. I just feel like at this time, what we normally do
Okay.
is off the table.
Just
So,
take into consideration, if we have an exposure or something changes in the state,
we have to shut
remember
it
the
down.
whole dynamic shuts down. So
I'm with
I
you.
think, we can't promise something we can't control, but
Well,
if-
that's a whole nother,
Right.
that's a whole nother thing.
All your
But-
hires are conditional.
But now let me just ask the committee, they're sitting there with the mayor's comments about just selling seasonal. What does it do to these numbers?
It helps
It
you a little
should
bit.
help them, right?
Helps a little bit.
depends
It's
on what
not-
number you charge and
Yeah.
if you're limiting it to 250, I mean,
Are we-
if you're keeping it at $9, you may have an increase in revenues to a certain point.
Well, seasonal was 15 and 20.
Right. You're definitely going to make probably with seasonals. I mean, you're not making money on seasonals.
And let me ask you a question. Are we going to limit it to township residents, or are we going to?
Can't-
Can't do that.
Can't
can't
do
do
that. I don't know. I'm asking. Okay.
all right, so let me ask you this. If we were to make a decision here, can we hash out all of this other stuff later?
Yeah, we could, the first we have the ability to come back and
I think it's important that we tell these people sitting in this other room who are waiting patiently, are we
We're
going
gonna
to go or
ahead
no
with it.
go?
Yeah, we're gonna go.
right, understood.
Listen, this has been a very difficult time for everybody up here. We're making decisions every day on different things that come up. I talk to Arch way too much. I like you and everything, but you and I talk all the time, which is fantastic, but it's never anything good.
Right.
So, we have the ability to do something decent. And again, if anyone knows me, they know I hate spending money like this, but, we're going to do the best we can to keep this at a,
So we don't need a motion or anything, Bob, doing this, do we?
Well, it depends on what we're doing. I would say this. If there's a decision to open the Cove, you don't need a motion for that.
Okay.
That's something we do every year.
we would need a
I
motion
need
to
look
expend.
at- If we're going to change something, I need to know whether it was by resolution or ordinance. And I can deal with Rita tomorrow on that.
But tonight, can we
You can authorize.
authorize the spending of whatever it takes to get this
You
thing
can
done?
authorize the administrator to begin the process of interviewing and giving conditional employment agreements subject to ratification on the 1st.
And the people in the other room are going to move forward
Yep.
as if the Cove is opening.
That would be my recommendation. Because
Okay.
I'll add to what you said, Art. We all know how small Ocean City's beach is.
Yeah.
Ain't a lot of people going there this year.
Yeah.
And that's the
And
closest.
there's probably people in this town that are going to go to the Cove that may have not normally gone
That's
to
my
the
point.
Cove. So also, if we do this, and again, we can set all the parameters and put it out to the public. We need to make sure everybody knows, no matter how we do this, whether we do it by daily sales or whether we do it by seasonal sales. When we do seasonal sales, it limits us to 250 people. That's it.
That's it.
So that's I mean, I don't want to make all these decisions sitting here right now.
No.
The only decision that I think that we can make is, are we a go or no go? So
I agree, and
I'll
then we
leave
let the
that to
people in
committee.
the room handle all.
And we'll come back to with numbers on the first, and then we'll be ready to go.
Okay.
I'm in favor of opening the Cove.
I just want to make a point that we passed a resolution to take action with personnel. And now we're talking about spending more money at the Cove.
The action with the personnel, part of it is long-term. It's not just this year's budget.
Well, you mean the capital improvements?
No,
The bathrooms and the.
no. He's talking about the personnel. that we-
Personnel reduction.
Reduction that we're doing.
Oh.
I don't disagree with you, but there is long-term effects to the budget with that move.
Do you think there's any possibility of state support or assistance?
For this,
Yeah.
none.
None.
None. The state's $9 billion in a hole.
Yeah.
And at this point, they're proposing in the Senate, state Senate, the fact that they're going to authorize COVID-19 refinancing bonds, where they're going to let towns who run deficits fund their debt or their operating costs over 10 years. So the realization is that they are looking at deficits across the board for municipalities, and at the state level, they're looking for a deficit where they're looking to refund over some period of time for their 3-month period that they've extended their budget. So there's no money.
Are there any other ways that we can get some revenue out of the Cove, like offer up these food carts to come in? They pay a
Vendor
fee
thing, yeah.
for a couple of days or a day, or anything we can think of out of the box here to try to get some
Gonna
more
advertise
money?
that as a concession, don't we?
We've been there.
The problem we have with thinking about that before is the requirement for insurance. For the, what is it?
It was cost
Workman's
prohibitive.
compensation.
Yeah.
That was very expensive.
You had to sell a lot of hot dogs to pay that.
Yeah.
And we have, through the JIF, we have insurance requirements that are very significant for a good reason.
Lisa, do you know ballpark on average, other than 4th of July, what do we see at the Cove? We have any idea?
How many days are we projecting the Cove will be open?
63.
63? Thank you.
We're open 6 days a week. On Saturday and Sunday, you do 63% of the business. So 2/3 of the business comes in on those 2 days, 1/3 of the days,
Okay.
but it's 2/3 of the money.
Mhm.
During the week, I don't know, well, it's hard to predict. I don't know that we're necessarily going to have an issue with getting over 250 people on the beach on a weekday. But then again, if people are not working and they can't go to Ocean City or Atlantic City, there might be. This is based on, the numbers I gave you is based on cutting the capacity down only on the weekends. If we end up with having to cut capacity during the week,
Okay.
that's less money as well.
If we charged, can we charge, in addition to the seasonal tag, a $2 parking fee? Since we have to have that, that would raise an additional $8,000. And I think $2 is a palatable number.
And then I'm going to have people parking in my front yard, so I'm going to complain to you.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing is, once the parking lot gets filled, people start parking all the way far down as Lake Lenape Park. And they walk.
Our
So
house.
You're not going to get that.
Well, you can charge.
Yeah, just keep in mind that we are cutting the parking down 50% as well.
Yeah, that's going to be,
Yeah,
an
that-
issue. We
that's-
have to do that, but that's.
And that's what's-
I got to be honest with you. That's one thing I just do not understand.
What's that?
Cutting the parking in half.
Yeah, yeah.
When are they going to do that at Home Depot?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Some of
That's
this
just gonna
stuff is
create-
ridiculous.
a problem with parking in there and arguments in there. If we're only going to allow 250 people in the Cove, that's allow 250 people in the Cove.
I don't know, but that's why we have you, Greg.
And we have temporary no parking signs that can go up along the street to make them pull into the parking lot. I mean, to make them park in the parking lot to do it. And if
Might
you're,
be
and if
able
you're
to-
at half capacity, the parking lot shouldn't get overrun, should it?
Shouldn't.
So I mean, I think that people would understand. I think at Lisa's comment about, they're probably not going to run to Ocean City. It's cheaper to stay here, pay an extra $2 and enjoy the Cove. I mean, again, it should bring in roughly about another $8,000. So that would help offset some of the pain. So.
You would need an ordinance for that.
We'll move forward.
We also would need a clear policy of what the actual guidelines for the Cove are, because if I remember correctly, I used to sell tickets at my place, and we sold about 250 tickets a year. We also allowed groups, like a scout group would come in and they have 25 people. So that's definitely not going to happen, but I think you're going to get the requests. So that would be something you'd have to put a policy statement out that was in effect. Because
the scout groups, would they do that during the week?
yeah, and then an individual vendor, like I couldn't sell them tickets. I'd have to recommend that they go to town hall and see
Yeah.
Lisa or
I mean,
whoever.
that would still be
And,
possible, yes, no? If it was during the week? I mean, we're going to have to feel our way through this. There's just so many variables.
It's certainly possible. If a group decided they wanted to come in and have a family reunion or, a Boy
Yeah.
Scout troop or something, they certainly can do that. We would just ask that if they were coming, they'd let us know just so we could be prepared for a large group that particular day.
Yeah.
But-
Just keep in mind that there still is a minimum of 10 people allowed per group, so they couldn't commingle. If a large group came in, it's got to be 10 or less. And I don't know if or when that would be lifted.
So we would have to do it by those guidelines.
Right.
Yes,
right.
but also
Stick with it.
remember that if
Correct.
it's children 11 and under are free.
Mhm.
So if you have someone come in with 15 kids and 3 camp counselors, you're only getting money for the 3 camp counselors, not the 8-year-olds.
Yeah, but if you have the free, right? Under 11, is there free?
Yes.
Okay, so that eats up how much of your revenue if you don't charge for the kids?
It's going to eat up a lot of your space,
It's going to
too.
eat up a lot of your space because it takes your
Because the
number down.
bodies are counted in the
Right,
total.
it's your body. A body's a body at that point.
Yeah, whether they're paying or not.
This is very, very complicated. Okay. Any suggestions?
I'm inclined to want to open it. Recognizing the difficulties and
It's the only water access that township residents have that's not controlled by the county or private. And again, I think it's what makes Hamilton
There's no
Township.
county access anymore, is there,
No.
Carl?
Not for
My point
not for
is
swimming.
they control everything
Not for
around the
swimming.
entire lake. They control the bulkhead. So the only thing that the township with our beautiful lake and river can offer residents is the Cove. And for that reason, I think we should figure out a way to get it open. So I think we need to trust the people in the room, trust the work that's already been done, tighten up the numbers as much as we can, and get it open.
If the majority of you feel that way, my suggestion is that you pass a resolution tonight deciding that based on current circumstances, you're going to move forward with opening the Cove, and that you authorize your administrator to begin the process of interviewing and perhaps even giving conditional promises with conditions subsequent to future employees at the Cove. Because I'm not so sure that the authority of the administrator as it exists will do that. And on June 1st, you could ratify any proposed contracts that Arch extends.
Yes.
And that would make them binding. Because there's a dollar amount associated with them, they're a contract, and it has to be done here.
Right.
But at least it would allow these folks to
Yes.
think about training
Right.
and would give Arch and Lisa the ability to line the folks up, give a conditional promise, and ratify it on June 1st. That's my suggestion to you.
That's an excellent resolution. Were you writing that down, Rita?
Nope.
Can we do that in a motion, or we need a?
A resolution, yeah.
Well,
Any
I'll make the
comments?
motion as outlined by the solicitor.
I second it.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions, comments?
Let's do a roll call.
Rita, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Kane,
Yes.
Mr. Gishard,
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz,
Yeah, with the, we have to be able to give this group of folks here and the staff to do what they have to do to make this happen. So I think this is the right way of moving with that. So it's a yes.
Mr. Vitale,
Yes.
Mayor Shanker.
Yes,
All yes and carried.
thank you. I appreciate committee taking the time to, this is an important issue. Listen, it's tough times right now. And the bottom line is that the decisions you make, you're going to have half the people hating you for it and half the
Yes.
people loving you for it. So, all right, sorry. Another day at the salt mines. Thank you all for your help with this. I appreciate your input.
Thank you. We will make it happen.
All right.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Chief, do you want to hang around for a few minutes? We're going to have a Memorial Day discussion down the road. And
Yes,
all right.
I'll sit right here waiting for you.
All right. Thanks, bud.
Thanks, Chief. All right, let's move on. The next discussion. C, Atlantic County request for municipal resolution of support for potential open space acquisition.
No.
No.
No, I can just say that we've been kicking this around over the years. We're getting to a point where, and it even explains it here, but we're at a point where we're only 695.12 acres away from having more exempt land than taxable. And every time you look at it, somebody, ACIT or someone comes up and wants 7 acres for this and that, and it's going to be it's a non-taxable thing. You really have to look at things very hard to weigh where the benefit is for the township. And once those numbers collide, once they come together, we're landlocked because the racetrack numbers are already in there. So I think it's something we have to really give some heavy thought to.
Let me say this. It doesn't matter whether you support it or not, because it's a deal that could be made by the county directly with the landowner
Yes.
anyway.
Mhm.
The only positive part, the downside is you lose $12,000 in taxation.
Right.
Yeah, I see that.
The upside is the dilapidated buildings. This was a beautiful horse farm in Stay.
This,
No,
that
wait a
has
second.
nothing to do
No,
with
no,
it.
no. You don't
Our
lose
land.
$12,000 in tax rateable. You lose a potential development area attached to the expressway with the potential to develop something in the millions of dollars of range, which you could tax down the road and do something with, and that's looking at the big picture here. I mean, that is a prime, the value of, in accordance with the assessor, is you're talking a value of $750,000 in the area with the farmland assessment. So you're looking at that plus the potential of its redevelopment potential there. I mean, I think you've got a great loss here into the community where,
There was a plan that came before the zoning board some years ago. It was quite controversial. I know there's a lot of wetlands here, but they had multiple um, housing units as part of that plan with the outbuildings, which could have all became reality and taxable homes, essentially. It is a beautiful piece of property. Could it possibly be a subdivision down the road, a small subdivision where we're collecting a lot more than 11,000? But I think Bill Johnson, first of all, did
Yeah.
a great job putting this together for us
Yeah, he
and
did.
showing us that we are now at the tipping point. We're there. And
Absolutely.
so,
Bill is available by phone if you want to talk to him.
It's not just that, it says right here in their letter that it's adjacent to state-owned open space property. So let's just hand over another 223 acres to the county because we don't need it.
It's not our land, Art.
Bob, I'm not going to sit here and say it's okay,
No, I get that.
okay?
I completely get that.
And if we can fight it, we're going to fight it
Well, then.
because I'm done with this.
Then that's.
Doesn't
your
the county
decision.
have enough of
Is
our
this
land in
part of
our
a-
industrial park?
There's a way to do this.
Pardon me?
If you pass the resolutions this evening, designating this area, sending it to the planning board for investigate as a redevelopment area with the ability of eminent domain, you then can control that property by taking it for that purpose.
I like that.
I would rather us take that property than them because then
Well,
we
you can
do
pass it, you
something
can
with
pass the
As
resolution, then
long
to
as
go
we,
send it to the
as long
zoning
as
board
we
for
don't
review.
invest
and-
any Green Acres money in
Get
that
aggressive.
land, it can still be privately sold. That's the only caveat.
And we have history in the township of parcels of land that look worse than that under guidelines that have been developed.
Yeah.
Look at New York Avenue. That was cranberry bogs at one time.
Yeah.
And I believe this is adjoining to the racetrack, correct?
No.
No.
All right. Well, it's in the area, so we may be able to extend an existing redevelopment area to include this area.
Isn't the whole township?
Our whole
redeveloped?
township.
So this is a rehab area.
Yeah.
I'm talking about redevelopment. Redevelopment gives you eminent domain.
Yeah, we're in the redevelopment zone, qualified redevelopment zone.
So if you feel that way, then you would pass a resolution opposed to it.
Yeah.
And then you could touch base with your administrator and your solicitor and find out what you can do by way of regulation to make the land more valuable. A lot of it's FA 70 acres.
Yes. Yep.
There's also,
Under redevelopment, we can change that.
yes, you can.
Yes.
It's also the large portion of it, at least the 60-acre piece and 130-acre piece, are farmland assessed currently. So for a private developer to purchase it, there's a 3-year catchback for the taxes. So that would give us an advantage.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all I have to say on that.
Then, I'd like to do exactly that. And to move to making that property a redevelopment. We can deem it redevelopment.
Then we'll have a resolution next meeting for send it to planning board for investigation.
Yeah. And then you'll get Jim involved.
But right
Yeah.
now, we need a motion to not support this, correct?
Make that motion.
I'll second
Or-
it.
Can we put a motion forward that we don't support it and we're moving to deem this property under our rehabilitation ordinance?
No,
In the
redevelopment.
next meeting, you bring us back said ordinance?
No, it's gonna have to be redevelopment to control it, not rehabilitation.
Oh, excuse me, did I say
Yeah,
rehabilitation?
so, we've got to send it to planning board for the investigation. So would do that at next meeting, but for a motion today, you can do nothing with this right now.
You can do nothing.
You can do nothing.
Oppose it.
Or you're gonna put, or vote it down.
I want to vote it down.
I want to vote it down and I want a letter sent back to the county that we
Yeah.
oppose this.
And there's no reason whatsoever that you can't include in your motion that it be sent to the planning board for review at this time.
And
That's
I'll
what I'd
amend my
like to do.
motion to decline the agenda item and send it to the planning board for possible redevelopment
For review.
review. Yes.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and second. Are there any questions? Hearing no questions, do you want to do a roll call on this? Rita, let's do a roll call, please.
Mr. Kane,
Yes.
Mr. Gishard,
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz,
Yes.
Mr. Vitale.
Yes.
Mayor Schenker.
Yes,
All yes and carried.
thank you. Let's move on. Number 4, public hearings and ordinances, adoption of ordinances. We have none. We have number 5, introduction of ordinance. Public hearing will be held June 1st, 2020. A, ordinance 1927, 2020, an ordinance amending Exhibit A, Section 1, Article 2 of Chapter 66 of the Code of the Township of Hamilton, providing the maximum number of employees, special law enforcement officers.
Mr. Mayor, I'm requesting that we pull this ordinance for right now. I want to have time to review it with the Public Safety Committee, which I haven't had time, and some input from the police chief to the Public Safety Committee, and bring it back at a future meeting.
All right, thank you. Let's move on to 6, award. We need a motion to table it? Okay, I'm
I'll
sorry.
make that motion to table.
We have a motion and second to table. Are there any questions? Hearing no questions, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Ayes have it. 6, awards of bids, contracts, and change orders. A, resolution authorizing shared service agreement for dispatch services with Egg Harbor City, 3 years commencing June 4, 2020 to June 3rd, 2023. This is a shared service agreement that is in place, and this is just an extension of shared service agreement. Am I correct?
It's an updated one for the additional period.
Okay.
And it's worked pretty well so far, right?
Very well, actually.
And it's important to note that there is a kicker in there where it increases the revenue for us each year.
Yes.
So it's
that's right.
important to
It's
note
got a
that.
2% increase
That's good.
year to year. Committee, what's your pleasure?
I'll move 6A.
I'll second it.
We have motion and second. Are there any questions? Rita, let's do a roll call vote on this, please.
Mr. Kane.
Yes.
Mr. Gishard.
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz.
Yes.
Mr. Vitale.
Yes.
Mayor Schenker.
Yes,
All yes and carried.
thank you. B, resolution authorizing shared service agreement for IT services with Egg Harbor City, 3 years commencing August 9th, 2020 to August 8th, 2023. So this kind of runs.
Yeah, this runs parallel with the
Yeah,
other.
it's the
because
IT for,
Yeah, I mean, your dispatch ties in with IT. We handle a lot of their records management
Right.
system back and forth. So this compensates for our time. And
so the IT services are solely for the dispatching that we do. for them.
dispatching and some of their, I mean, they have minor issues we help them with over there,
Okay.
which is part of this.
All right, very
And
good.
again, just for the record, it includes annual increases.
Yeah, I see that on there.
I'll move 6B.
I'll second it.
We have motion and second for 6B. Are there any questions? Hearing no questions, Rita, can we get a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Kane.
Yes.
Mr. Gishard.
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz.
Yes.
Mr. Vitale.
Yes.
Mayor Schenker.
Yes,
All yes and carried.
thank you. C, resolution awarding bid 2019-09, contract for 2019 New York Road Avenue roadway reconstruction to Landberg Construction LLC, amount not to exceed $191,437.40.
It's just something to see too. I mean, and this is why you do the bidding process, the way you do it in a municipality, to see that difference was $60,000 from the top bidder to the lowest bidder.
Yeah.
And
This is an important bid in the sense that we have, this is a grant from the DOT. There are some extra funds available that Steve has been very aggressive on getting released. We have to award this first, and there's an additional about another 50,000, Steve? Is that what he's saying? Just give it to the chief. You don't have to yell out.
90,000.
90,000, excuse me. So we've got the ability to go in and get some more funding because the prices did come in so low. Steve went back to DOT and said, we got this great price on asphalt. They told us to award it this right away, then we can go back to them and get additional funds.
let's do that right away.
We're doing it.
Okay.
I make a motion to
Thank
approve
you.
6C.
I'll second it.
We have motion and second. Are there any questions? Hearing no questions, Rita, can we get a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Kane?
Yes.
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mr. Vitale?
Yes.
Mayor Shanker?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
Number 7, consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda items A through F.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions? Hearing no questions, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it. Number 8, personnel. A, resolution appointing Albert A. Thompson as Class 2 Special Officer for Police Department at the rate of $20.98 per hour, contingent upon successful completion of background process. My question is, Greg, what does that bring us to? As far as
We're building actually for 5. This brings us to 3.
Okay.
It's extremely
Yeah, I know we
hard,
have-
as you know, to get Class 2 officers.
Yes.
This gentleman's a retired sheriff's officer from
Okay.
Atlantic County. Has all good support, or has good support from everybody that we've spoken to.
Okay.
Doesn't have any problems.
All right. So this will bring us to 3 out of the 5 that we have in the slot, 5 slots that we have in the budget.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you. I just want to make that clear, that this is not an additional employee that's not already in the budget.
I'll make that motion.
I'll
Thank you.
second it.
A motion and a second. Any questions? Rita, can we do a roll call for this, please?
Mr. Kane?
Yes.
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mr. Vitale?
Yes.
Mayor Shanker?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
Number 9, approvals. A, minutes of the April 30th, 2020 special meeting.
So moved.
Second?
We have motion and second. Are there any questions? Rita, can we get a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Kane?
Yes.
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mr. Vitale?
Yes.
Mayor Shanker?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
B, minutes of the May 4, 2020 regular meeting.
So moved.
Second.
A motion is second. Are there any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the ayes have it. C, minutes of the May 4, 2020 executive session.
So moved.
Second?
We have a motion and second. Are there any questions?
Now, just one comment. I want to say thank you to Rita for getting these to us so quickly. We always get them very quickly, so.
So Rita,
Yes,
let's do a roll call
sure. Quickly.
quickly.
Mr. Kane?
Yes.
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mr. Vitale?
Yes.
And Mayor Shanker?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
Thank you. D, bills. Bill list total $8,587,962.83.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions? Seeing no questions, Rita, could we get a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Kane?
Yes.
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mr. Vitale?
Yes.
Mayor Shanker?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
10, reports. Mr. Administrator, you have anything to add?
Just a couple of quick things. I just want to thank the working group on the code. They did a very good job of getting the information together and making sure the committee was well informed on this situation. Secondly, the question came up about the Memorial Day, the wreath and the dropping.
Yeah.
We need to have a little bit of a discussion on what your decision is going to be on how do you want to proceed with that.
Okay. Anybody have any thoughts?
Well, I've talked to the veterans about that, and I think, as you guys probably know, we've had a ceremony every year for as long as I can remember. And they've been fairly large ceremonies.
Yeah.
So there's no reason why we have to feel bad if we don't have one this year. This year is a very unique year, and there are problems associated with it. And there are concerns that some people have about the sickness, about the virus.
Yeah.
And of course, we have the restrictions, state restrictions also.
So I think at the bare minimum, we still need to place a wreath like we do every
Yeah, we
year.
could do that, yeah.
But as far as doing anything official, there was some talk about possibly putting a video out of the wreath being placed.
Could we do that and load it up to the website and?
Mhm.
do we want to have any more than that, though? I guess that's the question. Rodney, you talk with the veterans. You're a veteran yourself.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, there was one suggestion was that someone representing the township say a few words.
mhm.
I mean, that's a possibility too.
Mayor, I have the wreath. I made it a few years back. It's beautiful and it's on a stand. I store it and it just says mayor and committee
Mhm.
on the banner.
So-
So it just has a matter of getting it out and whoever's going to present it or put it there.
Am I correct from my recollection, there's the wreath that John spoke about, but then the ladies auxiliary has another wreath?
Yeah, there's about five of them that does it. Yeah, about
We
five
have a
wreaths
list
go
of
out.
people.
I don't have a list now, but I can get it.
All right, we'll get something and,
Yeah.
and we can coordinate.
So,
Just whoever you want to lay the wreath and say something, I mean, we can record it.
okay. To be very honest with you, they spoke to me as the mayor to say a few words, and I would be more comfortable if somebody from the military, a veteran, because it's not going to be a full ceremony. It's not going to be like it normally is.
Right.
And to have the mayor there to say a few words, it's fine. I'd be more than happy to be there to set the wreath in place like normal. But I think if we have anybody speak, I think it needs to be somebody who is either serving right now. Every year, the Veterans Committee does a great job of bringing in speakers that really make that thing. And the mayor's comments, I mean, John, you've done it before, are very, we try and keep it short and sweet because it's not about this. It's about, especially Memorial Day. So I would be there if you want me to place a wreath. But I think we need to have somebody, whether it's Rodney or somebody from the Veterans Advisory Board or somebody that they deem could say a few words and we could put that on video. We'd probably have to do it soon.
Yeah, by the end of the week or early or Monday.
Yeah. So I've thought about it and I think it's only right because it's not a full program.
Okay.
Your thoughts, Rodney?
Yeah, I would bring this before the Veterans Advisory Board and see what recommendations they have.
Okay. And let
I
us
mean,
know.
obviously, we want to keep it to a minimum amount of
Right.
people. That's
Yeah,
you
that's
know.
absolutely it. And then if get somebody and we can work it out.
Okay, so we can keep it down to 5 people or
Right.
I know they-
Below 10.
yeah.
Below
Well, I
10.
know they do the taps and they do the lowering of the flag and all that. And I mean, I don't want to get involved with planning this. I think that there's a lot that can be done and with keeping
All right.
everybody
We'll
separate.
work on getting it.
Okay.
Yeah, but today is Monday, so we have to. Okay.
So I'll make myself available whenever you can put.
That's
this
all I
together.
have.
Is everybody all right with that?
Yes.
Yeah, I think
Yes.
that's a good idea. Yeah.
You all right with that?
All right. Thanks, Chief.
Okay, good.
I'm good with it. Thank you.
You're good?
I'm good.
Anybody have any questions for the administrator? Mr. Solicitor,
Nothing to report.
thank you. Mr. Engineer, is you in the room there? If you want to give us a report, you don't have to.
I'm going to pass, Mayor.
All right, thanks. All right, we'll move to Township Committee. Carl?
I'd like to say a local business in town here, Mahogany Company, changed some things around over at their business and produced 1,000 masks and donated them to Atlantic City Medical Center. And that's a town family that's been around forever. And I know I talked to, I believe he's a president, Mr. Hamilton. I believe he is. And then I know in the beginning when this happened, he was trying to figure out things to do and didn't know where to go and who to talk to. But obviously they figured that out and really came through. And it's just another great thing about our town that, makes me proud to be here. And that's, and another thing I'd like to bring up, we're getting close to graduation for all the kids in high school. And they're really missing out on something special. I mean, we've all been through it. We graduated from high school and college. I didn't graduate from college because I didn't go, but it's a rite of passage, and just keep it in mind. You know, you know somebody that's graduating. Give them a pick me up. You know, it's rough for them this year. Feel bad for them. So keep that in mind. And that's really all I have to say. Just then say hi to Maddie and Reagan. Hope you're safe. Miss you. Love you.
Thank you, Carl. John?
Yeah, I just, this situation is definitely difficult for everybody. Small business, like Art had mentioned, is getting hammered. You know, in my business, you talk with people who want to send flowers for funeral for family, and they can't even do that because there's no congregation. So we're finding ourselves delivering something smaller directly to a cemetery where people can, that's the only way of expression they can have is show up and not in a large group to be present at a maybe cemetery, no visitation, no funeral services. It's really difficult situation, but people are coping with it. It's just, you see the desire right now. You can tell that just by the increased traffic on the road this past sunny days that we've had, that people want to get out. And it's really being cooped up. They want to get out. So it's, everybody's handling it in different ways. I think they need to make some more concessions to small business. You know, like you can't fathom how a tattoo parlor can open to get a tattoo, but a flower shop can't sell up in their front door. So there's some conflicting things going on that I think they really need to give some thought to. But otherwise, the bottom line is we have to be safe. That's really it. That's it there.
Thank you, John. Charles?
I'd just like to thank, we had a local business owner that tried to get an answer from the governor's office for 10 days for just clarification on something. And you say at the end of every meeting, Mayor, that if you have questions and you need help, reach out to us and we'll do our best to help you out. And the local business owner reached out to us, reached out to me, and Arch, the chief, Lieutenant Pritchka, deciphered things and helped the business owner out. And that's what we're here for. And I appreciate their involvement in it. I thank you for that. The business owner obviously thanks you for that. And just to reiterate your words, I mean, if you have questions, you can't get answers, give us a call. We'll do the best we can to answer them for you. And Carl, I appreciate your words. My son happens to be one of those kids.
Yeah.
He's going to miss out on all those things. Prom, graduation, receiving your diploma. And I appreciate your kind words with that. And I ask that, as Carl said, if you know someone, reach out to them, congratulate them, and just let them know you're thinking about them, because it's a tough situation. And but again, we're all going to get through it. And then, like I say, every meeting, my hearts and prayers go out to every single individual affected by this, and especially those that have lost loved ones. And again, this too shall pass. So.
Thank you, Charles. Rodney?
Yeah, I'd just like to thank everybody for their cooperation during these hard, tough times. When you look at it, we're being affected, and the governments are affected, and of course, private individuals and private companies are affected too. This is going to have a long-term impact on our economy, just like 9/11 did. But this will pass. So I would encourage you all to continue following the rules like you have and stay healthy. We're going to do what we can to make that livable.
Thank you, Rodney. Appreciate it. I just want to say, and I feel like I get up here every meeting and it's almost like you're repeating yourself. But we have, as you can see, if anybody that follows any kind of social media, you have people out there that are their fuses are short, and they're getting shorter. And more people, whether they're right or they're wrong, are questioning what's going on here and questioning why certain businesses are allowed to be open, other businesses are not allowed to be open. There are certain circumstances at the stores that are open that some people follow the rules to the T and some people don't. And what I'm noticing more and more, and unfortunately hearing more and more stories, is that people have a little shorter temper, a little less patience for everyone. And I really think that we have to sit back a little bit and just try and be kind to everybody. I know this is very, very difficult. I find myself at times getting frustrated with what goes on because there's a lot of decisions just like tonight that you have to make, and it takes, you take a lot of time to think about it. And regardless of what our decision was here tonight, we will be criticized by some and praised by others. The bottom line is there's no playbook here. This is unprecedented times, and it's not going to change anytime soon. So we're all dealing with this, and we're all in this at different capacities. So I just ask you, please, to just take a minute, be kind to each other, try and work along with other people, and be a little more, have a little more patience with what's going on here. And I know I'm asking for a lot, especially with all that's going on. The other thing is, like Carl mentioned about Mahogany, we have other groups in this town that are doing a lot of stuff, a lot of people in this town that are doing a lot of things to help out, to get food and things people need to those who don't have. And unfortunately, with the unemployment numbers that you see in this state, that's more people than not. So, like I said, just be a little more patient and a little more understanding, because everyone's going through tough times right now, no matter what level it's on. So with that, I'm going to open it up to public comment. Anybody in the public like to speak?
Yeah, this is Bruce Stride. A couple of things. First of all, I'd like to recognize and thank everyone, all the residents that have been stepping up in one way or another to chip in and help their fellow citizens and neighbors. On 3C, the request for open space, is there any, just to be clear, is that the property out near the Dollar Toll and Expressway?
It's the old casino horse farm, Bruce.
Okay, good. That's kind of what I thought. Just wanted to be clear. Is there any idea what the county had in mind to use it for?
Just open space.
Yeah, they were going to level.
In other words,
They were going to level the buildings, Bruce. And
right.
It's available for the grassland thing where it would be preserved and not developed.
Okay. I can appreciate losing the tax rateable, but some of the things I heard is putting maybe a housing development out there. And it is a good idea sending it to the planning board for review. But keep in mind, there is no sewerage out there, so a housing development may be an issue. Someone mentioned eminent domain. I'm not sure, didn't have time to check, but I think there's an ordinance against eminent domain in Hamilton Township. Doesn't mean the county can't do it, but the municipality, I don't believe, can. So anyway, going to the planning board for a recommendation is a good idea, but open space is certainly a valuable thing. On another issue, there's a lot of discussion tonight about the budget and taxation, shortfalls. Does the township, on chapter 269 taxation, the hotel motel occupancy tax, does the township receive